Hello, my name is Anoa Changa.
The Way with Anoa. The Way with Anoa.
Welcome to the Wednesday, November 9th, 2016 edition of The Way with Anoa. We are post-election 2016. How are you feeling out there tonight? I want to encourage everyone to check out the Podcast Revolution site. I've mentioned several times your podcast. Definitely want to hear from you, how you guys are feeling, what's going on. We're going to continue to keep that open so that you can have a voice, so you can express yourself. And basically with your podcast, and we'll tweet out the link again, is that you call in and we comprise it into a podcast episode with your voice, your messaging, try to keep it as clean as possible. But how you feeling out there? Ooh, child, this has been a cycle. I am tired. You guys probably can hear it in my voice. I only had about 2 hours of sleep this afternoon. We were up, myself, Nick Nolan, Brandon Sutton, Adair. There's a whole bunch of us last night doing a commentary way into the wee hours. So I know Trump won. Like, honestly, who actually thought Trump was going to win? Like, I didn't think Trump was going to win. I knew that there was a lot wrong. There were a lot of issues, and we'll get more into that with my guest this evening, Marcus Ferrell, who was the former director of African American Outreach with the Bernie Sanders campaign. We're going to get into that a little bit he's coming in around about 8:30. So there was a lot that went wrong, right? And it seems like today, instead of acknowledging as a real leader would, right, what went wrong, or even taking time to address supporters in an honest and arm-length manner, we have what we have today. We have this insistence by the so woke, we are the left folks, you have to vote for her or else people. The people who did not see any value in building and working with us earlier, the people who did not see any value in obviously doing outreach with their own people, complaining, it's Rush's fault, Susan Sarandon's fault, Nina Turner those people should have, you got black voters turning on each other, you got people blaming third-party voters. The numbers, what did you guys say last in primary? Math is math, right? The math didn't add up for her. And I understand the frustration that, she may have won the popular vote, but lost the electoral, vote in terms of electoral college. That's unfortunately the math of America. And we saw this issue happen in 2000. And none of you so woke, we've always been around. We know what we're doing. You little millennials, go sit down someplace. Y'all ain't do nothing about this. And quite honestly, the greatest guard against this situation that we're now in would have been to make sure your candidate actually carried states that her predecessor won in 2012. How do you lose Wisconsin? Milwaukee's is supposedly a Democratic stronghold. Like, how do you lose Wisconsin? How do you lose groups of white voters that Obama, despite not being, very popular at times with, white people in various sectors, you did worse? How are you white and you did worse with white people than someone named Barack Hussein Obama? I don't understand that. I do actually understand it. I shouldn't say that. It's called poor outreach. It's called hubris. It's called entitlement. Just because you're a woman, well, I'm a woman and that's the most outsider thing there is. You're an elitist white corporatist married to a former president. You're out of touch with the people. The people who followed you are out of touch with the people, because clearly you couldn't even get your people to vote for you. Like, seriously. We want to lay the blame at somebody's feet today. We lay the blame at the DNC. We lay the blame at the Democratic Party as a whole. We lay the blame at Democratic operatives, these mainstream media pundits, surrogates, Hillary Clinton. We lay the blame at Bill Clinton's feet for encouraging Donald Trump for being his friend, right? Enabling him. Well, they blame it people like Bill de Blasio and Andrew Cuomo, who are now on Twitter talking about, oh, well, in the sake of unity, we'll all work together. You done spent all these months trying to convince us that he's this evil, hateful racist, the second coming of Hitler. You want us all to now peacefully work together? What the hell y'all smoking? Nah, we not ready to make them nice. There will be no breaking bread. Like, I'm so sorry. You have ruined all credibility. Al Franken. I mean, the list goes on. Elizabeth Warren. There's so many of you that are so tainted by this whole process. But I do say to the new so woke left, the rising, moral authority in America, watch your step, right? Because, hubris is a downfall. That is the one lesson I think we get out of, this side of the election cycle, is that hubris is a downfall. And hubris is what took Secretary Clinton out. Not sexism. I'm not going to say that sexism doesn't exist. I absolutely believe there is sexism out there. There are people, we've talked to people who would not support her because she was a woman. But at the same time, making this all about her being a woman as if she was some symbol for advancement for womanhood was a fatal flaw and error. She overreached, she overstepped, and it was peak white feminism. Lena Dunham and Amy Schumer and Amanda Arquette and the rest of them are just little miniature younger versions of a peak white feminist. And it's a problem. And white feminists did not show up at the polls. And don't say not all, I'm a white woman and I'm a feminist. No, it's a very particular phrase. Look it up. It's a very particular mindset. Look it up. But yeah. But while everyone's mourning, and again, we've been talking about this. Like, I got receipts, Ben got receipts, Project Sanity got receipts, we got receipts, Yvette Carnell got receipts, Tim Black got receipts, we all got receipts, right? And I take no pleasure. I don't know about you guys. I take no pleasure in being right. None whatsoever. I actually, when my son came in from playing outside, I actually broke down and cried a little bit. Because for a fleeting moment, I thought, did I make a mistake for not, working myself to the bone? But then I realized, nope, I did not. What I can do, what I will continue to do, what I've done for almost a year and a half now, is continue to use my energy, lift up my voice, lift up your voices, and work for a better tomorrow. And that's one of the things that Marcus and I are going to talk about when he comes on in a little bit. But I was interviewed on this show on the CBC earlier today, and I they was asked about how did I feel? Was I scared? Was I worried? I am no more worried about my children walking out the door today than I was yesterday, than I was last year, than I will be next year. Seriously, like when Tamir Rice was murdered, I wept. I wept because my son is an oversized, black man child. Looks older for his age, but he's the sweetest kid ever. I wept. When the cops were not going to be charged, I wept again. Like that's what I live with as a black mother. So Hillary Clinton wasn't going to change that because her rhetoric was so problematic. Like, let's just be real. Now, on the flip side, Donald Trump is a hot fucking mess. Excuse my language, just dropped an F-bomb. But seriously, there's work to be done. And we can't just rest on our laurels and point fingers at the Democrats because they screwed up. There's enough blame to go around. We got the receipts, but we do need to work on building out what is going to come down the pipeline, because we need to hit the ground quick, fast, clear, right? Very soon. Because all this, we're going to work together and we're all one America. We are not all one America. You made that painfully clear in so many different areas. But I will say this, last night was a win. Shout out to Pramila. Congress, yes, a win for the progressive movement. Unfortunately, Zephyr Teachout did not win her race. I truly believe having Secretary Clinton at the top of the list, that swinging right. I think there were certain areas where swinging right really hurt good candidates. Same with Russ Feingold. We saw that happen. It's just so problematic. But we also added 3 women of color to the Senate last night. Women of color, particularly Black women, overwhelmingly showed up, right? And we had 3 women of color last night. And where is I had all my stuff lined up. I know I'm like kind of like, but yeah, we had Tammy Duckworth from Illinois. We had Catherine Cortez Masto, who won in Nevada, and she's actually the first Latina senator ever. That's a historic moment, right? And then we had Kamala Harris, who was the former Attorney General of California. She beat Loretta Sanchez, another Democrat, and she becomes the second African American woman to serve in Congress. So that's, we did not take back the Senate. The Democrats did not take back the Senate, did not really gain ground in the House. So Donald Trump has been handed a majority in both houses, and the presidency. And all this focus, there was so much focus on electing Hillary Clinton, on anointing a queen. The DNC, this is you reap what you sow. And so how do we move on? How do we do better going forward, right? One thing I will talk about tonight is I need for us to definitely listen to the people of color in our circles. I need for us to give space, not even give space. When Black women are talking, like seriously, because I have this problem all the time. I love my Bernie Sanders folks, but the primary was not just because the election was stolen or this, that, and the other. There were times where he did not listen. I blame Jeff Weaver. I blame Ted Devine. There's a whole long list of people, like the blame goes around. Some of the blame even goes to Bernie Sanders. Sorry about that. Some of the blame even goes to Bernie Sanders because Bernie Sanders did just enough. He did not fight. He did not push. He sat down and tried to get us to all come along in the evil empire. And the one thing all these people forgot to do was they forgot to talk to white voters. They underestimated how much people just was not feeling Hillary Clinton. You can get on TV and you can pander and you got out the Black vote. Black people showed up. Despite voter suppression in Ohio and North Carolina, which you knew about months ago. That's the thing though, right? We got to stop waiting for something to benefit us before we address it. Injustice is injustice. In the next however many years, honestly, let's just think about it in 2-year chunks. 2018 midterm election cycle, we have the opportunity to do something then. State elections. When you look at maps of the country, it's red. When you look at the county district level, it's red. We need to start flipping some seats and get real about it. Whether we flipping it green, you got Joy Reid unhinged. There's a bunch of them unhinged, blaming Jill Stein. Notice Jill Stein only got like barely 1% of the vote nationwide. And you had about 45% of Americans did not vote, who were eligible did not vote. You have thousands of people nationwide who are former felons who are not even eligible to vote. So if Democrats had actually been cared about people voting, that would have been a major issue going into this election cycle. If people actually cared about people voting, you would have had a better plan and better conversation than skipping Wisconsin altogether. How the hell do you skip Wisconsin? How do you not how do you not campaign there? How is your big moment in Ohio when people are struggling with jobs, right? How's your big thing in Ohio a Beyonce and Jay-Z concert? The hell was you thinking? Y'all thought y'all was going to ride Black women to the White House. Well, to quote Professor Stacey Patton, there is no more electoral mammy happening up in here. Miss Ann, I'm sorry. Yo, please don't run for nothing ever. You let Madeleine Albright and Gloria Steinem and all the rest of them geek your head up, but boo-boo. You couldn't even get your Goldwater friends to come vote for you. And let's be real. Let's be clear. You ain't no better than Donald Trump. Even early yesterday, Hillary Clinton was in an interview, was quoted as saying, she really wants America to come together and she hopes her and Donald can be friendly. This is supposedly someone who's a raging rapist and homophobe and he's so racist and he's so all these different things. And you want to be friends with him? I'm so sorry. I don't even understand that logic. So it's one of two things. Either he's really not that bad. Definitely Pence is freaking atrocious. Or she's a lot worse than people want to admit. And that's true. There's tons of people freaking out all over the place right now. and blaming everybody under the sun except for really taking stock. Peter Dawu, I'm sure there's a padded cell for him someplace. Yeah. So there is when you look at the demographics too, when it breaks down, right? She did not do well with white voters of most age group, of I think almost every age group. And she didn't do well with voters. She did okay, but he did better with voters over, $50,000. She got lower income voters more so than he did. And I also wonder if that was maybe also a reflection of the disparity that we've been seeing in income and wealth between the races here in the country too, But the way the demographics just split down. I mean, Donald Trump, they have fed you this BS story about how Donald Trump's supporters are just angry, poor white people who hate black people and who hate immigrants. And a lot of folks just hated the Clintons. I understand we don't like to think about race that way, but seriously, we have a very dangerous game that was played. Now I'm talking to the so woke left, talking to black enablers, the black political elite. Y'all played this game, played a very dangerous game. You painted Bernie as a racist. You made this all about sexism and how somehow she was going to be better for black people. We're only 13% of the population. How the hell do you hang, something, Latinos are another 13%? How do you hang the fate of your election, of your campaign on us? We're not even half the damn population. How the hell does that even make any sense? It doesn't. It's really bad strategy. It's hubris. It's arrogance. She just assumed that all the little white girls out there would see her and be like, yeah, slay queen. And what does it say that black women give away their vote, their time, their energy, their essence overwhelmingly? And for what? What were you really getting in return? I know Ben and I had a conversation, might have been myself, Ben, and Nick had a conversation some months back. Remember the president of the Urban League actually did a interview, and he was talking about, well, at least with Hillary Clinton versus Bernie Sanders, there was they knew that they would get some appointments. What the hell is an appointment to the single parent struggling on less than a living wage to feed and take care of their family? The hell is a political appointment going to do? We done had political appointments under George Bush and Barack Obama. What has that done for us? If you a white worker in the Rust Belt, what the hell are political appointments going to do for you? Not a damn thing. You're not talking about nothing. If it ain't making dollars, it ain't making sense. So we got a lot of work ahead. There's a really great quote in a piece. Glenn Greenwald did a piece, Democrats, Trump, and the ongoing dangerous refusal to learn the lesson of Brexit. And there's a really good quote that someone shared with me earlier, if I can find it. But one of the things, that he talks about is the fact that people and these self-proclaimed experts relying on all this polling data. Now, we already know coming out of the primary how they manipulated, massaged, absolutely just played with the polling data, right? To make it fit a narrative. They made the polling data fit the narrative they wanted, right? So there's been a very, very dangerous story being told. Trump was neck and neck, and they ignored it. They laughed it off, didn't really give it any credence, didn't really try to overcome. And we've been saying fear does not work. And I'm going to say to everybody right now, going forward, fear is not going to work. I understand there may be fear. I understand there may be anxiety, but that gets in the way of getting the work done. And I know usually, I'm really hyped up and stuff like that, but I'm damn tired. I've been up for over 36 hours, knee deep in all of this. But I'm really excited. Like I said, Marcus Ferrell is going to come in and we're going to talk to you about something that we've started working on. That's the next step. And it's not, I know everybody's like, oh my God, everybody has something, but this is something that's really looking at how to make use, how to engage, how to transform our grassroots efforts into something that's long-term, sustainable, ongoing, for really engaging people and not just, turning people out to vote for the presidential election cycle. And that was the problem. They had crappy get out the vote. This is the problem when you suppress, and they suppress so heavily. Stacey Hopkins, my mentor, always talks about this. You suppress people, they suppress in the primary and they get out in the general. The problem was they suppressed so heavily. They were so overhanded with the way they did things. It was very difficult to get people out in the general. Because when you have people that are just so disgusted, this is like you had two of the worst candidates ever, and people were so disgusted, nearly half of eligible voters stayed home. America's so great. Half the damn people don't vote. What the hell is that all about? Like, and mind you, if you're someone who doesn't vote, like you didn't vote possibly, I don't know if people didn't vote just in the presidential election or they didn't vote like in lower level elections as well. But them state and local elections, that's what we really need to be focusing on. And that's something that we're going to start talking about more as well. I got a message from one of my friends. She was telling me about how, she loves me and blah, 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 blah. Like I have friends who voted for Trump. I have white friends who voted for Trump. I don't know that I have any black friends who voted for Trump, but apparently Trump got 8% of the black vote. He got 8% of the black vote. I think it was approximately 30% of the Latino vote. He won white women. Hillary Clinton's been a fixture in white feminist ideology for like 40 years, and she couldn't even carry them. That's pathetic. And no, it's not because I believe in right-wing conspiracy theories and all this stuff. If it was really an issue of right-wing conspiracy theories, if it was really about the Republicans and how evil they are, why did she spend all to court them? Spend all that time trying to get Republicans. I mean, from what I saw, Trump got 9% of Democrats, of registered Democrats, and she only got 7% of registered Republicans. She made a mistake. She made a huge mistake. But hey, we're all racist, Bernie bros. You got Amanda Marquette on there arguing about how it's the racist white Bernie bros who didn't want to vote for a woman. Yeah. Shout out to all the black celebrities who were bandwagon jumping, riding the bandwagon and didn't know nothing about nothing. Like you didn't know the issues, didn't know what you were supporting, had no clue. I mean, were you even aware of the primary? Like, remember when Samuel Jackson didn't even understand the concept of the primaries, right? Like he was like, well, I'll check out Bernie in the fall. It's like, no, you don't stop relying on celebrity endorsements. And I had someone asking, well, isn't that, Killer Mike has actually taken the time. And I don't always agree with Mike on some of the things that he says. Someone actually just sent me something about David Banner as well. But I don't always agree with everything that David Banner says, but or Killer Mike or whatever. But I do think that these are people who have actually taken the time to try to educate themselves on the issues that are going on in their communities, and they've actually kept a foot in their communities, right? Versus people who, live high on the hog place, are so far removed from any type of everyday struggle, and are just like, yes, because it's time to break the glass ceiling. No. Mm-mm. Some really good things happen though, as well. Like I said, we added 3 more women of color to the Senate. Awesome. We added, there were several ballot initiatives. Marijuana is like legal in so many more states now. Wow. You know what? Trump might actually be for that because he could probably make some money off it and he's not beholden to big pharma. Yeah. And then what was it? Minimum wage was actually raising the minimum wage was actually on the ballot in a couple of different states too. And those initiatives passed as well. So it was a really mixed bag. It was a real mixed bag. Like when you look at some place like New York State, where when you look at states that Hillary Clinton won and down ballots lost, to look at the data to see if she did pick up Republican votes in those states versus, other states. You know what I'm saying? Because that's one of the conversations we've been having is whether or not there has been this, whether that hurt. And so I'm gonna shift over because I have been joined by Marcus Ferrell. Marcus, how are you doing this evening?
I'm all right. How are you, madam?
Oh, I had a little bit of sleep. I'm okay. I'm gonna get some more tonight though. I'm gonna get my full in.
Last night wore everybody out.
Last night wore everybody out. So as I mentioned, Marcus is the former director of African American outreach for the Bernie Sanders campaign. And Marcus is also a co-founder of Impact Us. And so what were your thoughts last night? Like watching the returns come in? Like did you even have an idea this was even going this way?
My thoughts from last night were I knew early it was going to be ugly. I had a funny feeling that it was going to it might not swing Hillary's way, but I mean, you can't help but listen to mainstream media and all these I've been in politics for a few years now, so all of these folks that I used to listen to when it came down to their polling and when it came down to Hillary's going to win and what state's going this direction and what state's going that direction, I started believing these folks. And quite ironically, one of my Republican friends posted on his timeline on Facebook the exact turnout for what was going to happen for the rest of the night, and he was correct on every single state. So how did I feel about it as it wore on? I actually I hate to be like this, but I think the chickens came home to roost. That's what I think about last night's election. I think the chickens came home to roost. I think it was the beginning, if not the nail in the coffin, definitely the beginning of the end of the establishment Democratic Party. If they don't realize at this point now that they just need to clean house and bring in people who have nothing to do with Washington D.C. in general, then they're making a serious mistake. I think Donald Trump is not the scariest human being on the planet. Also, I mean, I'm African American. We went through years of turbulence. Our people have went through years of suffering, and I just have a funny feeling that systematic racism was not going to end if Hillary Clinton got elected, and I have a funny feeling that Black folks aren't going into slavery if Donald Trump gets elected. So it was a surprise, but it was also telling that the rich guy was the populace in comparison to the Democratic candidate who was the establishment, and she ran her campaign like that. And that's
yes, exactly.
Yeah. So if you have an opportunity, we had an opportunity to elect our first woman president last night, but I think what gets away from everyone also is that there was two women in the race, and the whole conversation and the whole thought process behind this whole, the third parties took it away from Hillary. Well, that's not necessarily true, because if you add up the votes for Stein and Johnson, Hillary still wouldn't have came away with that.
And she lost Florida outright. Like, yes. Even when you took the Stein vote, Stein had like 60,000. I think Hillary lost by like 130, 140,000. Even if you added in the Stein votes, like she lost. She lost Florida. She didn't even set foot in Wisconsin. I mean, you've done field campaigns and stuff. Like what does that even say? That you expected to win a state and you didn't even go there at all.
Well, what it says is you're assuming, and it's a very flawed thought process that you assume that, or you expect that you get a vote. But there was a lot of assumptions made during that campaign in general. Let's start with the first assumption. Everybody Black's going to show up for me. That was the main assumption, right? Like, we're going to get the Black vote. All we need to do is roll out this Jay-Z concert or have Angela Bassett running around South Florida, which is very cool. Look, as a campaigner, I would have been very happy to kick it with Jay-Z and Angela Bassett and this, that, and the other. But the difference is, you don't want pandering, you want policy. The Black community wanted policy. We didn't necessarily want pandering. And I believe that's exactly what happened. I believe that they were rolling out celebrities who weren't talking about issues that were affecting, the Black community. Therefore, they didn't respond well. They just rolled out sort of a song and dance. And I hate to be like this, but they didn't even spend enough time during the Jay-Z concert to say why that these folks should vote for Hillary Clinton. So she didn't go to Wisconsin. She expected to win there. She just I guess what the campaign thought was they've done a well enough job to discredit Donald Trump in every way that no human being in their right mind would vote for him. And I mean, she lost the white woman vote. She lost the black woman. I mean, she lost the white man vote. She lost the white woman votes. And there was supposed to be this whole thing about pantsuit nation, quote unquote, with 2 million followers. I guess they just didn't show up to the polls, or it's a very questionable thing how she lost the white woman vote. She lost her own constituency.
She lost her own constituency. She lost the women who we were told were, I mean, they're the bannermen of the American dream, right? I mean, we got told all through, and you know this very well, having worked on Bernie's campaign, that Bernie supporters were all white. They hated women.
Right. They all hated women, and you had to be an elitist to support Bernie. That was the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all Bernie bros, which was completely made up. And I remember the moment that it was made up. But here's the funny part about it. That same media that worked so well for Hillary Clinton and discrediting Bernie Sanders early off is the same media that turned against Trump, but yet made him famous and made him our president. Right. So fundamentally, you have these issues where, when you're running a campaign and when you're in the fight, that free earned media means a lot. And Hillary got it. She didn't have to necessarily spend as much money as Bernie necessarily had to spend. But it's the irony of the whole thing is how she got her behind handed to her from a candidate that every single major media market pretty much was against. And if you notice the trend, the alt left, the news organizations that weren't necessarily primetime organizations, they spent a lot of time criticizing her. But it was valid criticism because she got criticism because she was expected to win. And she got criticism because we all thought that Donald Trump is nuts. There's no way he can win. And I guess we just found out the hard way.
Yeah, I mean, so what do you think about, there was clearly a divided strategy, right? Like there were those who, and you did not appear to be among them, but there were those who, after Bernie kind of closed up shop on his campaign, kind of went over into the fold, either with auxiliary groups that were pushing Hillary Clinton or into the Clinton campaign themselves, versus those who stayed on the outside and criticized. I mean, was there a middle ground? Was there something that could have been done to avoid, President Trump?
Well, okay, so let me just give you a little background. When I got off of the Bernie Sanders campaign, I was being courted and was actively getting courted by the Hillary Clinton campaign. But in order for me to work for Hillary Clinton, I wanted a lot of money, right? I mean, it just is what it is. And I was still close to helping them out. But what happened was the first WikiLeaks happened right before the DNC. And that just completely changed my mind about working for the campaign. When you started seeing the inner workings of what happened. So that's the reason why I personally didn't go over to that side of the house. Was there a way for Donald Trump to not win? Yeah. I think this was a very simple thing that the Hillary Clinton campaign could have done. Number one, they should have owned up to the WikiLeaks.
Right.
They made the correctness. It looked like they were headed down the right road during the DNC. Firing Debbie Wasserman Schultz, getting rid of a few staffers that they had an issue with. But then after that, they started toting the line of, well, the Russians are trying to affect the election. Now, instead of doing that, they should have been like, okay, American people, that was a horrible thing. This won't happen again. There's probably going to be a lot more stuff that comes out because that's just the nature of the beast. We apologize and we need to get better cybersecurity. I mean, because if you can't hold your emails as a party, what makes me think that you can hold our secrets as the president? So it was a very simple thing for them to do. The next thing they could have done is done a little bit more organic outreach and gave us a pro-Hillary story instead of an anti-Trump rhetoric. in order to get those Haitians that, and by the way, the Haitian brothers and sisters in Florida, they are not feeling Hillary Clinton. I mean, the Clinton Foundation has done so much damage to them. Listen, if the Haitian vote had turned out for Hillary Clinton, she would have won Florida. She would have won Florida. There's no doubt in my mind she would have won Florida. But they sat at home, or either they voted for Trump. That might be where Trump got his high percentage of African Americans from.
I was wondering. I mean, I just got to stop you and answer that. 8%. They're saying it was 8%, 30%. I think they said 30% Latino. I saw, but 8% of us. 30% Latino was high to me too. But that must be all those people like the Ted Cruz Cubans. I'm guessing. But the 8% of us, that was because they swore they were 0%, like nobody ever. But Trump kept pulling out all these different black people and stuff. I was just like, what is going on?
Well, it's a product of the media, and it's a product of the anti-Hillary hatred that she just couldn't get over. I mean, the whole neoliberal 1990s strong on crime thought process that still sits with a lot of black people. And Donald Trump, you know, we know it. I guess some of these folks knew what Hillary Clinton was about, and they were willing to see what Donald Trump could be about. So yeah, the neoliberal center Democratic Party, they had a hard time kind of maintaining these folks. But back to Haiti, you know, she could have just said, well, this is my plan for Haiti. Here's how we make amends for the mistakes that we did. She did not address, and this is a typical sort of insider DNC thought process. They do not address when they mess up. They do not know how to apologize. They do not. They are unremorseful whatsoever. They do not know how to tell the truth, and they do not know how to be responsible to anybody besides money. And the American populace noticed that, and until they are able to fix those things and have a little bit of integrity at the top, maybe some leaders that will actually be fair. I'm very interested in the 2020 race, like 2 years from now, how they're gonna go about getting their next candidate, who's gonna be the next DNC chair. Does this person have some freaking integrity, right? Like that's where we need to be.
Right.
Trump never had a chance to. Trump had an easier path to victory because of the practical actions, the impractical actions of the DNC.
Very well put. So just thinking about moving forward, right? Looking towards 2017, because there are special elections and mayoral races. You know, what are some of the lessons we're looking at kind of going forward, and give us a little bit of rundown of impact.
Right. So what we're doing is we've started Impact, and that's a member political advocacy and campaign teams. We have a pretty diverse board brought together by Dr. Cornel West, Senator Nina Turner, and our friend Killer Mike, and a few other folks that are helping us out. We plan on doing, and I don't want to say this the wrong way because Nina Turner always gets mad when I bring this up. We are doing off year.
Yeah, she got on me too.
Right. We are doing.
She said there is no off year. We're always on.
Yeah. So we're doing every year organizing in communities of color across the nation. Just basically focusing on door-to-door outreach on issues from a local level. When no one else is trying to do outreach, we will be at your door doing the outreach, creating new organizers. So starting January 1st, instead of no one reaching out to you about the issues that you care about, let's say a kid gets shot and you're worried about police accountability. Well, we're not necessarily the organization that is doing the protesting. What we're the organization that is teaching that same neighborhood about, okay, who is the current elected official in this neighborhood? What laws are on the books in this neighborhood that allows this police officer to either get away? How can we hold this person accountable? If this elected official doesn't create a law that forces body cameras on police officers, then if you don't do what we ask you to do, then we go into another phase where we're going to vote you out. We're actually going to have our organizers going door to door with cell phones in their hands, calling up their elected officials, creating new organizers right there on the spot on a nationwide scale. We're going to start with 3 states, and then we're going to eventually move up to 12 states. And hopefully, if everything works out, we'll be at all 50 states by the end of a 2-year cycle.
So why do you, because obviously you've been paying attention, and then especially with so many former staffers from the campaign, starting this new thing. What is it about impact that is needed, not just in this cycle, coming out of this cycle, but just going forward, just long term as we talk about progressive politics?
Well, I'm going to say like this right here from my experience on the campaign. I believe Bernie Sanders lost because he didn't have a good enough outreach to people of color, point blank. Right. So what has happened is the organizations that have spawned from Bernie Sanders' campaign have sort of been, they're leaning towards the same kind of model. And this is not a bad thing. They're giving, they're raising money for candidates. They're trying to get a brand new Congress. They're trying to get more congressional seats elected. But when it comes down to our outreach to our communities, we are trying to make our organization is going to be a Black voice for progressive progressive thought. That's why we have the leadership that we do have on our advisory board. We want to be the part of the Bernie Sanders campaign that actually reaches out to people of color on the different cycles. In comparison to we don't need another DFA. I'm not knocking anybody, but I just don't think we need another DFA. I think that as soon as progressives across the board start realizing that the African American and Latino issues are the most important and the first progressive issues across the nation, when they start realizing that, then you'll start seeing more results. You will not have a progressive Congress. You will not have a progressive president. You will not have a progressive Senate or House without African Americans. I think the progressive world needs to understand that. And there's a certain way to do outreach to them. And if you don't know how to do the outreach, then guess what? We will do it ourselves. And that's what impact is.
All right, then. So just like as we're wrapping up, because I'm getting ready to wrap up now in time for Ben to come on. But this is definitely a conversation I want to continue having with you. And whatever members of the team and stuff, the actual team and other people doing work. Just as we continue having these conversations, just in thinking like in the next couple of days and weeks ahead, what do you think what should people be doing? Like, in your opinion, just from your experience, this is uncharted territory, I guess, in some ways.
It is. This is brand new. Breathe first. Breathe. Take some time.
Breathe. Yes, definitely.
Take some time to yourself and think about what's important. Secondly, we know what Donald Trump is going to try to do. In some ways, we know what he's going to do. In some ways, we don't know what he's going to do. But there's some basic issues that we already know. His vice president Pence is going to try to allow cops to run rampant across our neighborhoods. So we need to start. We need to start looking at current laws that actively affect our Black kids in our neighborhoods. We need to start looking at and just identifying what the laws are right now and who the elected officials are. And then you need to sign up to Impact. You need to go to our Facebook page. That's Impact Impact America, and check us out on Twitter and sign up. And we will help you organize exactly what you want to do from here on. But our organization is local first. So we're not going to tell you how to organize. We're not going to tell you what you need to organize around. We're going to get it from you and give you the tools that you need to make sure that the issues that are important to you are taken care of on an organic basis. And we're going to do this year round. When other folks are not reaching out to you or just want to talk to you for your vote, we're going to be a part of your mainstay. We want to be a part of your family on a consistent basis. So right now, you just need to breathe. Next, you need to get ready for a fight because we're in for 4 years of it.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Just definitely everyone go check out Impact on Twitter, Impact Us, and then on Impact with an MPACT Us, and then it's Impact America on Facebook. I'll share the link in our discussion group as well. Thank you so much for taking some time to talk with me. Like I said, I know you're mad busy, but we can definitely continue these conversations, because I think that's one of the things, and that's one of the things I've been in myself and others have tried to do is have these conversations. So what were we going to do beyond the election? Because even when being pro Bernie and stuff during the cycle, there was always the understanding of who we were up against. We were up against the most formidable political machine, which got taken down by Donald Trump.
They got punched in the face.
I mean, like hubris is a mother. So
right.
So I think, I mean, like impact is something, I mean, like I said, there's so many different cycles, and it's one question I would have for you. Like, we talk about Black progressive spaces and the need for Black voices and stuff, but are we just Black only, or do we work with allies too? Yeah,
of course we're going to work with allies, and that is, I mean, that's a natural progression of things. But to be honest with you, it's been proven over and over again that some of our allies want to be in a space like this, but just don't know how to. Right?
Yes.
And I'm starting to realize, like I consider brand new Congress, and I consider our revolution allies. If they want to do the work with us, we'll be there for them. But right. I also understand that they don't know how to be in our space, because our space is a completely different thing to them.
Yes.
The issues that we tackle aren't the issues that they grew up fighting for. They're the issues that they might have heard about or recently learned about. Where you and I know your lineage and my lineage, we come from people that have been fighting some of these things our whole life. But now we finally have some allies that are willing to actually go about and stand with us. I consider Democracy for America a strong ally of ours.
Right.
So I mean, so it's not an all Black, all Latino thing. It's just more so we're doing the work that some of these organizations just can't do, and going places where they can't go.
Right, definitely. Thank you so much for taking some time to talk with me. And I would love to have you back to come on so we can chop it up some more. And spend a little bit more time and do it more extended. Wouldn't you guys love to have a more extended segment with Marcus, so we can pick his brain and do a little post-mortem analysis?
I don't think they want it. I don't think they want it.
They're not ready for the real.
They ain't ready for the real yet.
Thank you guys so much, Marcus Ferrell. Marcus, tell them how they can get in touch with you if they want to reach out.
Marcus for America at Twitter is my Twitter handle. Marcus with number 4 America, and then you can just look at me up on Facebook. Right now, I got the Wu-Tang W up on my Facebook profile picture, and that's a Marcus Ferrell. I'm on Facebook, but make sure you hit me up on Twitter. I am always available, and I'm one of those guys that'll never get too big or I won't holler at you.
All right, thank you, Marcus. This has been the way of Anoa. It is, like I've been saying ever since the primary season, we got to dig in. We gonna get this work. I'm about to make some t-shirts that say "Get this work." I mean, this is what we got to do. I'm trying to be upbeat and positive. I'm doing it for me as much as I'm doing it for you. I'm doing it for my kids so I can set them a good example. Because you know what? I look in their faces and I know that there is a better tomorrow coming. Because you best believe when my baby gets to vote in 2020, when she gets to organizing, I mean, her best friend are already talking about starting their own zine and raising issues about political awareness in their age group, so they have the next generation of activists and organizers coming right behind us. They're in high school, right? Just want to give a shout out real quick to my 3 newest patrons. Aaron H. Holla, that's my what's up, Callie, Patrick S. and Wendy S. Shout out to Wendy. How you doing, Florida? We do really need to look, like I said, we do really need to do a postmortem. We really do need to look and see whether you're going green. And if you went third party, we need to do a postmortem about that too. What worked? What didn't work? What are the strategies, and how do you actually build out a viable other option as well, right? One of the things I just looked up, I didn't get a chance to look at this last night. One of the state senators from Florida I had just become aware of, Dwight Bullard, the pettiness of the Democratic Party in Florida, bruh man lost his seat, and he was a brilliant voice, wonderful. We need to work to see if we can get that seat back in 2 years if he's going to run again or whatever he's going to do. Like, there's so much that's so wrong with the way things have been done. We got to keep it moving, and we got to do our best going forward. So this has been Way with Anoa. I'm out. Peace.
The Way with Anoa. The Way with Anoa.